Hello, good day everyone. I am Shane Orlene Malinay from Malainen Bago Elementary School, and I am here to present my research paper entitled Attitudes Toward Homosexuals of Teachers at Malainen Bago Elementary School and its relationship to their level of religiosity and knowledge about homosexuality. For the rationale, the purpose of this exploratory research project is to determine the degree to which teachers at Malainen Bago Elementary School have positive attitudes toward individuals who are homosexual, as well as to determine whether or these attitudes are influenced by the teacher's level of religiosity and the amount of knowledge they have about homosexuality. For the key literature under religiosity, numerous research studies have already demonstrated the significant relationship between a person's level of religiosity and their perception, attitudes, and stance toward homosexual. According to Westwood 2022, LGBTQ right debates have shifted the conflict between religious freedom and LGBTQ rights from discussion about morally wrong deviation to competing equality claims. And according to the study of Page 2017, teachers who work in school and communities that were smaller and more rural, as well as those who came from strongly religious backgrounds, exhibit lower maximum comfort with LGBT issues and text linkage. Lastly, under religiosity, those who identify with any domination are more likely to attend religious services on a regular basis, have more fervent religious convictions, and are less accepting of homosexuality, according to the study of Jansen and Skippers 2018. Now let's talk about the attitude toward homosexuals. According to the study of Milburn and Palladino 2012, social and academic needs of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer youth are marginalized, ignored, and frequently unnoticed in schools across the nation. Many students are alienated by the lack of knowledge for LGBTQ students who are bullied for their presumed sexual orientation or gender role expression. For Greystock and Koskiv 2010, actual or apparent gender identity and sexual expression, how masculine or feminine a student is perceived to be, are two of the most common reasons for school violence. If we're going to look at the study of Koskiv 2016, we can read that negative school environments, especially negative approaches to dealing with LGBTQ students, have a negative impact not only on the health and well-being of the pupils, but also on the academic achievements and goals of LGBTQ students. For the Shore 2012-2017, Taylor and Peter 2011, gender equality can be achieved by the affirmative acts of teachers, gender mainstreaming, and the willingness to implement gender-responsive policies. According to them, LGBTQ inclusive practices have the potential to change school from places that are neutral or even hostile to welcoming communities for LGBTQ students. Now, for the knowledge about homosexuality, those participants who had the greatest amount of knowledge about the topic, homosexuality, were also the ones who had the most positive attitudes toward homosexuals, according to the study of Hall and Rogers 2018. According to De La Felle et al. 2018, greater knowledge of homosexuality was associated with female gender moderate political affiliation and more affirmative behaviors. For the methodology, sampling, the method of random sampling was utilized to collect responses from the teachers in Malainen Bago Elementary School over the course of 2 weeks, and a total of 29 responses were obtained. Data gathering procedure was done through Google Forms, which were sent to the teachers via personal message, and the Google form is consisting of the following. The first one is the survey about Mature Religiosity Scale. The second one is survey consists of knowledge about homosexuality questionnaire, and lastly, attitude towards difference survey. For the data analysis, after obtaining the information through Google Forms questionnaire, it was compiled and tabulated. The weighted mean statistic determined teachers' attitude, religiosity level, and knowledge. A weighted mean or weighted average of a set of data or a number is a mean in which the various data points are assigned varying weights. Weight is used here in the sense of importance, but it can also be taken literally. The Pearson R statistic is then utilized to determine if there is a correlation between the variables. Pearson correlation measures the existence represented by a p-value and strength, which is represented by a coefficient r ranging from -1 to +1 of a linear relationship between two variables. It should be utilized only when its underlying assumptions are met. If the result is significant, we conclude that there is a correlation. It is according to Samuels and Gilchrist 2015. And then lastly, descriptive statistics were employed for the description and interpretation of data. As we can see in this table, the weighted mean is 4.03 with a standard deviation of 1.24, which indicates that the level of religiosity of the teachers at Malainen Bago Elementary School is very high. For table number 2, the weighted mean of the scores of the respondents based on their answers on the knowledge about gender differences or homosexuality is 8.21, with a standard deviation of 2.68 that indicates that the knowledge about gender differences among Malainen Bago Elementary School teachers is considered as very low. Now let's take a look for table number 3. The individual score of the respondents in this part were all added and divided into the numbers of items in the Homosexuality Attitude Scale to get its weighted mean 3.97 and its standard deviation of 0.75. The data indicate that the level of positive attitude of teachers at Malainen Bago Elementary School is very high. Now, there is a significant relationship between the respondents' religiosity and attitude towards gender minority individual. So the computed p-value for the relationship between the respondents' level of religiosity and their attitude towards gender differences is 0.0265, which indicates the null hypothesis that there is no significant relationship between the respondents' level of religiosity and their attitudes toward gender minority individual is rejected. The use of the Pearson R coefficient of 0.4117 indicates that there is a moderate positive correlation between the two variables. If we are going to look at the study I have provided on the key literature, we can understand that there are studies that have been produced that have already proved the influence of the religiosity of a person's individual from homosexuals. We can see from the studies of Westwood 2022, Longowals and Winisky 2013, Hall and Rogers 2018, and Johnson and Skiffers 2018 that the higher the religiosity of an individual or a group, the lower their positive attitudes toward homosexual. But it's different when it comes to the teachers of Malainen Bago Elementary School because despite having a higher or religiosity level of religiosity, they still manage to have a very high positive attitudes toward homosexual individuals. Is there a significant relationship between the respondents' knowledge about gender differences and attitude toward gender minority individual? So the computed p-value for the relationship between the respondents' level of knowledge and their attitude toward gender differences is 0.07292, which indicates that the null hypothesis that there is no significant relationship between the respondents' level of knowledge and their attitudes toward gender minority individuals is accepted. So the use of Pearson R coefficient of -0.3398, however, indicates that there is a weak negative correlation between the two variables. So even having a low knowledge about homosexuality, teachers from Malainen Bago still carry a high positive attitude towards homosexual. And this is contrary to the study of Hall and Rogers 2018, who argues that those participants who had the greatest amount of knowledge about the topic or about homosexuals were also the ones who had the most positive attitudes toward homosexuals. For the recommendations, even though the results show that the teachers in Malainen Bago have a highly positive attitude, we still can't ignore that their deficient knowledge about homosexuality. So this result is something that needs to be addressed. The researcher suggests expanding teachers' learning through professional development opportunities like learning action cell or LAC sessions or other similar options. For the dissemination and advocacy, the study's result in which the teachers at Malainen Bago Elementary School participated will be easily accessible at the school and will be made available to them in a manner that is convenient for them. In addition, it will also be available for the school principal to read and take appropriate action if any is required. The findings of this study will be also presented should the opportunity arise at the upcoming gender and development seminars that will be held in the respective school to inform the individual teachers. This study could be used as a guide for developing programs or interventions that address gender issues in educational settings so that teachers can respond appropriately and professionally when it comes to gender issues, which are important, I believe, not only in the school context but also in society. So here's the references. Let me end my presentation from the quote from Daniel Radcliffe. You don't have to be gay to be supportive, you just have to be a human. Thank you so much for listening.